Okay, so our program today is Carolynn Dallaire, and we are going to do fill-in letters. And I hope you have your hand up. If you don't have one, there's one at the front. And
there's liners and extra paper and
yeah.
paper clips.
Great, and paper clips. Carolynn's bought paper clips, and I have my stuff here. I'm going to get ready in a moment. So welcome. Thank you, Carolynn, for doing this today. And I hope we're all going to have fun lettering. Carolynn's are always fun. I really love them. And I use them over and over again. I keep them in my little file. So welcome. Off you go.
Okay. You got me organized?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you had a giggle when you got the email from Barb, because it said we were doing bookends and fill-in letters. And I hope you realized that was a mistake. And I didn't catch it until I was reading it later. It should have said Bookhand. So I think the computer decided more than once, so I think the computer was fixing it for me. Anyway, so today we're going to work on type kind of letters. Some of you have taken my class before. So just to have some fun with it. These are nice letters that can look very formal or informal. And there's some fill-in letters for decorative capitals that we'll do at the very end. So what I'd like to do first is just go through the exemplar, and then we'll get started. So the first page, these are just some samples of what I've done. Talk a little bit more about that later. The fill-in letters are just that. They're capitals, and they have a room to add some decoration with them. The next page is the exemplar. This comes from Lynn Slavinsky's Marker Lettering, Volume 1. And we've talked about those books quite often, and we do have them in our library. She's used probably either a B-nib on this because the letters are quite large, or perhaps even a Sharpie to get them bigger. The second page is just fun. She's really played with them, and I like the ideas that she has. And the third page are the fill-in letters. Fourth page are the fill-in letters. And I was noticing when I read this carefully, I prepared this page in, looks like 2002, when I was still in Vancouver and doing continuing ed at night school for fun letters. And I used to call it funky letters. We don't use that word anymore. We call it playful now. Anyway, I had forgotten this, but I noticed that I'd written down that these were from Betty Locke, and I saw Betty's picture on the screen just a few minutes ago. And Betty, I don't know if you remember even giving this to it. It says that you're a renowned calligrapher and teacher from Duncan, BC, and introduced her students to this funky alphabet. And I'm thinking it must have been probably 1999 or 2000 or 2001 when Betty was probably over, and I would think it would be to the Langley group. It seems to be what I remember, because both of those samples are from Langley people. So we'll talk about that later. Then there's, if you'd like to use it, there is a liner, and just if you would like to clip it to your paper, we'll get started. So I'll just get my light table. Hope that shows up nicely. Okay, so yeah, please help yourself. There's lots of paper there. So the type. So if you want to get your exemplar beside your paper. Just before we get started, I'd just like to challenge you. This is from a calligrapher whose name is escaping me at this present point. But when he would do a workshop, he would always say, try to do an interesting page, even though you're just learning something. And so think maybe about the margins and how you're going to put things down. Don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be beautiful or perfect. It just needs to be interesting and kind of fun. Nice page for you to look at later. So what I'd like you to do is to leave maybe 4 or 5 lines, a little 3 or 4 lines at the top, and at the very end we'll put in the title for this. So I'm going to start a little bit way down here, if that makes sense. So the type letters are just that. If you think about Times New Roman font on the computer, that would be kind of what this is, and it harkens back to Bookhand and or to foundational. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close, which is kind of neat. So let's go through the letters, and if you've done this before, do them even better. Okay, so we'll start with the straight strokes. I'm going to leave room for my title. And we're going to start with V. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit so it's a bit bigger. And we'll start with V. V is V. And you probably notice that the letters are fairly straight, so try to get them as straight as you can for the verticals. And the ones that are round are very round. So it's a very pleasing alphabet. And there's all kinds of little serifs to put in. So we're going to do, at the top of the V, a full serif. So let's do about 4 or 5 of them. How wide do you make it? You can make it fairly wide because it's a very full alphabet. And at the top, a full serif. I hope you understand what I mean by that. The next, let's do the W. And the W is 2 V's. So we have 1.
Off the page.
Thank you. And we'll do a second V. And we have 3 points at the top. We're just going to do on the first stroke and the fourth stroke a full serif. Let's do another one of those. And with the W, I tend to like to do from the top for all 4 strokes. I don't know if any of you are brave in using a B-nib. I'm just using a marker. I always like using the Uniball Vision or a Micron, and mostly because they're waterproof, and you can throw on watercolor if you want to afterwards. The next one is the X. X has that. I'm going to figure out where the middle is, and I'm going to put a little point there because I want to cross just above. So that will mean the small V there will be smaller than the upside down one. And this time you need 4 full serifs. And let's do that again. Figure out where the middle is, go up a little bit, and plan where you're going to do your crossing. That one seems to be right in the middle. I'm going to do it again. It's not a rule, it's just a good practice. It just weights the letter differently and makes it look interesting. The next one is the Z. And I tend to like to make the bottom horizontal the longer. This time the serifs are going to be verticals at the beginning and the end. A nice looking letter, which you don't use too often. And do one more. You'll notice that time I did the serif first, so there's no rule of when. Just kind of what works. Those are a little crooked. I'm going to do one more. And that's the Z. And now one of my favorite letters. and that is the K. So we're going to start with an L.
Just want to go for a bit, Carolyn. I'm out of paper.
I see what you're saying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's just do one more letter first, and that will be the I. I noticed in my notes I skipped over that completely. So the I is just an I. We're going to do a half serif in front, and then a full serif at the bottom, and a very nice round dot above. Let's do that again. Half serif, vertical, try to keep it straight. And do one more. And I've got just enough room on my line. I'm going to do two more. Made that serif a little long. There we go. That's better. And now down to the next line. So this one will take up 2 spots. I tend to do, when I do a vertical ascender, not quite double. You can see that I'm kind of, sorry. There we go. And I'm going to do the same as the I, a half serif at the top, a full serif at the bottom. And do that again. And the I and the K are the basis of a lot of these letters. The I and the L, sorry. And down we go. So do another L. And this time let's add the K. So the first diagonal is just going to end above the center part of the bottom part of the letter. That's a lot of words. And then I guess why I like the K so much is because it kicks. Make sure it kicks. You've heard me say that in most of the alphabets I do. I like kicking letters. They have a lot of energy. And then full serif on both of those diagonals. Let's do that again. So we have the L first. If you wanted to, you could make your letter a little taller. I kind of like it not quite the full double, just a little bit less. So there's a K. And that one's not very good. Let's do another one, and let's make sure it kicks. So those are all straight letters, fairly vertical, and that's kind of neat. So now let's add a little roundness to them. We'll start with the F. I'm going to move it over a little bit. I'm going to give a nice dot and a shepherd's hook and come straight down. Try to keep it straight. Need a full serif at the bottom, and for the cross piece, 1/3, 2/3. So a little bit on the left, double on the right. And that way it's just a very interesting letter. Let's do that again. Down, full serif, 1 and 2, 1 to 2. 1/3, 2/3. Let's do it again. Okay. Next, let's do the H. We're going to start with the L. And just below the center line, do a very nice arch and end with a full serif. So part serif, L, and an arch. And do one more. Very nice, pleasing letters. The next one is the J. And the J will be the inverse of the F, starting at the central line, coming down, hooking to the left, very jolly looking. At the top, you want a half serif and a nice dot. Let's do that again. J, half serif, and a dot. So very much like the F. Nice looking letter. N. So the N starts with an I, half serif, vertical, full serif, and now an arch. So you're just coming down a little bit. How wide do you make it? Well, good question. Pleasingly so. And I'm going to do 2 more to fill up my line. And I see that I, without thinking, did an M. So there we go. Let's try that. I'm just going to go out for a minute so you can see the difference. So I'm going to do an N on the next line. And now I'm going to do an M. Okay. So if I look at what she's got on the exemplar, she's made the arches just a bit smaller than the N was, because there's 2 of them, makes it a wide letter. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I often like to keep them the same. And that comes from a class with Sheila Waters. I think we were doing Carolingian or something, and she made the comment about that. So because it's monoline, I don't think it's written in stone, so I think we're okay. I kind of like the look of being just a little bit wider. I'm going to do 1 more. Just make sure you're trying to keep everything nice and vertical. I tend to be a slanter, so that's why I say it so often. Okay, so that's the M. Next one's the R. So it's the N that didn't quite get finished. So we start off with the I, and now we're starting the arch, and we just do the top of it and then end in a dot. Let's do that again. And do 1 more. Pleasing letter. Next is T. So T is like an upside down F, only going a different direction. So we're coming down and then doing the shepherd's hook with a dot. And we're crossing 1/3, 2/3, which is a nice look. The T isn't very tall. And do a couple of them. I've got some J's to contend with here, so I will do that. I'm going to stick an I in here. Don't think I'll dot it, just to use the space up. The next letter is the Y. So this is a V-shaped Y. So we've got the first diagonal, and then the second diagonal ending in a hook with a nice dot, full serifs on the V shapes. Let's do that again. So first diagonal, second diagonal, a nice hook, 2 serifs, and let's do it again. Oh, that's pretty lousy. Let's do that again. that's better. Oh, I've got room for one more. Yay. And in this family, we need to end with the U. So upside down N. So a half serif. Come down and do your upside down arch. And the I, it's kind of different. It's totally upside down. So we come straight down, half serif to the right, full serif on top. That's where it's nice to have the exemplars, because with alphabets like this, I sometimes forget how much of a serif was I supposed to do. It's just nice to have a look for it. There we go. And do that again. That's not very even. See if I can make it more. And there we go. Oh, let's do one more. It's a pleasing letter. Try to keep it straight. So we've had the verticals, the slanted verticals, and the verticals with a little bit of roundness. So now take a deep breath, and we're going to do the round letters. So we'll start with O. And like a lot of you like to do in many alphabets with the O, is start around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And make it as round as you can. And I'm stopping around 5 o'clock. Going back to 11 o'clock. If you can get all the way around and be perfectly round, great. I think it's a good practice to do it in 2 strokes. It's a little bit slower, may not be perfect. Do a few of these. These are not easy all the time, but try to keep them round. And let's do one more. Well, they're okay. Not perfect, not oranges, but okay. The next letter will be the C. And again, so you're stopping about 5 o'clock, going back, and you're just going over the top, and we'll add a little dot. That one's got a little problem in its back. Let's try it again. Keep it round if you can. That's better. Nice little dot. Let's do that again. And then back and dot. And do one more. Okay. And now let's do the E. Same thing. Starting around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Am I off? Helps if you look. Thank you. Thank you. And this time I'm going to go over, come down a little bit, maybe a third, and then across. Let's try that again. Keep it round. Come down and across. I think I have room for a couple here. And one more. Okay, are you ready? We're going to do G, one of my favorite letters. And this is where the curly G comes from. Not sure how it got going, but so we're going to do an O to start with, and it's going to be on the top 2/3 of the space. So you won't touch the baseline. So do your nice, beautiful O. It needs a little hat. Lynn's gone like a straight line. I always like to do a little bit of a curve a bit, the dot. And I must say, I'm not terribly fond of this, but you can see she's come to the left and then done a big deep breath. And I don't love it that it touches, but it still looks nice. So we'll try one of those and then I'll show you the other things I like to do. Okay, so we need, way at the left, we need a little hook. Take a deep breath and you're coming around. And I'm coming back to that little hanger again. So this time, what I prefer to do, it's a bit small, coming down, coming around, and I like to stop it somewhere there, but it needs a direction of where to go. Let's do that again. It should be a little bit bigger. There we go. Nice little hat, little hanger. And of course, you could make these quite large. G's are difficult if you've got text and you've got many lines. Often we leave this part out to the end to see what's below and where it fits in. But it definitely can come quite low, which is quite pleasing. I like the look of that. And let's do another one. If you're short of space vertically, but you have the depth, you can do, sometimes you'll just do the hanger and then let it come down a little bit, but don't let it fall. Make sure it goes somewhere, does something. And another one that I like to do, at least with brush lettering, is this one.
Oh, I say.
But, and no, that isn't Bookhand or type or anything, that's just me. But it is kind of a brush influence for sure. And sometimes you want to do a full finish to that, but you don't have the space. So just maybe make it wider and shorter. And this would look better if that O were a little smaller, I think. So let's tighten that up a bit. Anyway, I guess you get the idea. So anyway, we'll get to practice when we get to words. Okay, so that was the G. Now let's do the BDPQ. So these are the letters that have an L and then most of a circle, not quite, a little bit shaved off. So we'll start with an L. And I'm just going to do a half serif this time. And I'm starting at 11 o'clock, but I'm going to the right, and I'm going to do a circle that isn't quite finished. So a very round B. Any of you that went to school in the 50s, this is kind of how we learned to print, the stick and ball. And now let's go the other direction. So I'm going to start over about 1 o'clock and do most of a circle, not quite all of it. Don't finish it. And go to the top. I'm going to do an L. Straight down and just a right part of the serif, half serif. Do that again. Keep it nice and round. And then add your vertical. Do one more. Oh, that's skinny. Ugh. Don't like that one. Let's do it again. It's all a crapshoot, isn't it? Never perfect. Well, almost sometimes. Oh, that's better. Nice and round. If you get one that you absolutely love, give yourself a tick. That's what I like to do. I have a little code when I'm in a class. I tick things I like, and if the instructor's given me something, I make sure I do a different color tick so I know who did that. Okay, so that's the B and the D. Now let's go upside down and do the P and Q. So we start with an L, but we're starting at the central line. Coming straight down, and we get a full serif, so it's a basic L. Starting at about 11 o'clock, start your circle. So it's the upside, oh, it's crooked. Let's do it again. I'm going to try to keep it straight. Straight down. And add the circle. Let's do it again. I'm getting quite long here. I'm going to shorten up a little bit. Do that again. That's better. And nice and round. Oh, I don't like it. I'm going to do it again. And you can see that I'm slanting. I'm sorry, don't slant. There, that's a little better. Not quite tick-worthy, but not bad. Okay, so now the Q. It's the opposite. So we're going to start at 1 o'clock, like the D did, and come around. And this time we're starting at the central line, coming straight down. At the top, you have a half serif to the right and a full serif underneath. It's different than how we do some of the Qs. And do it beautifully. Barb is watching. There we go. And there we go. Okay, so we've had verticals, we've slanted them, we've added roundness, we've played with the G, and now we've done the BD, PQ. We've got 2 letters left. And they're fun. The first one's the A. I love the A. So we've got, there we go. So with the A, it's very Unchal looking, isn't it? So those of you that took the recent Unchal class will recognize that. Basically, you start with a dot, come around, and almost vertical, and end with into the serif in one shot. And I like to start in the center and do the loop like that. Lynn's done it a little differently, but she's made hers a little bit bigger. I don't think it's wrong to slant it, but then you're getting more into the Unchal look, and you really don't want that at this point. So we'll keep that a bit straighter. And it's fairly wide, fairly round, soft, with a nice, that's a much bigger circle. I like that. So play with that, see what you come up with. Don't slant too much, but maybe a little would be nice. And the little nose part. Just for fun, when I was doing my lesson plan, I did one this way. And I'm going to circle it, and I'm going to put a question mark, because I don't think it actually belongs in this alphabet, but every once in a while you'd like to be a renegade, I guess. The S. The S is very, if you look at the exemplar, it's very figure 8-ish. And look at the serifs. Aren't they interesting? Do I like them? But they kind of work. They kind of work. And notice that they, if you were to take a ruler, they do line up. they would be parallel to each other. So we'll start with a serif. The top part's a little bit higher than the bottom part, so that's kind of that 1/3, 2/3 ratio thing that we talked about with the lines. So, sorry my light keeps going off. Light tables are such a lovely invention. Okay, S. So I'm going to start. It's just basically a figure 8 and put in the serifs. Could you do a dot? 2 dots? Sure you could. But I'll try to restrain myself. That one's not very good. Let's do another one. That's a bit better. Not very wide. Kind of that Roman influence. Do that again. I'm going to do that again. It should come down a little bit so that you have room to do the serif. So round, figure 8, and then. So that's kind of an interesting page. Not perfect, but okay. Let's do a couple of words. So the first one would be bed. Nice and round. Very nice round. We've got 3 very round letters. If you're wanting to conserve space, this isn't the hand to use. And the D. Thought we should do chocolate. So we'll do a nice round C. Very nice full H. Nice round O, round C. Another O. L. And now we get to do an A. I'm going to keep that fairly straight. Keep that little nose piece quite round. Lovely T. 1/3, 2/3 crossing and end in an E. Good. I've got just a small space here, so let's do T. Oh, it's a bit on an angle, but I moved it over. Maybe I would get it straighter. And a nice A to match. My favorite calligraphy word in any alphabet I do is oligarchy. You've heard that one before. So I'm going to start with a nice O. Nice and round. It's just because the letters are interesting.
That's very revealing.
It comes from Carl Rohr's. When we were learning brush lettering, he had us do that. Well, because you'll see in a minute why.
What does it mean?
It's a dictatorship, but worse.
No, it's a controlling
Yeah,
financial
yeah.
A Russian guy who got wealthy and nefarious means. Yes. With nefarious.
The nefariousness. It's just a great word for lettering. So now a nice G. So I'm going to do a fairly small O, a nice little hat, I don't have anything below. I'm not in a sentence, so I can go crazy. And take a deep breath and really let it wisp along. And a nice A. I think why I like it is it's just a nice combination of letters, of strokes. Not letters so much as the strokes. The up and the down, the round and the curve and the straight. Have a C, nice and round. A nice H. Good arch. And a Y. And I can go a little crazy on the Y because I don't have any letters below. Maybe that's a bit too much, but that's okay. It's a pretty word. Not what it is, but the letters, the strokes. Okay, let's do wonder. One of my favorite words. So we have a fairly wide V and another V. Nice O. Lovely N. Good arch. Nice round on your D. Half serif. Half serif. Another round one. And I haven't had any of this yet, so I'm going to write it. Coffee. Looking forward to coffee. Got 2 F's coming up. So we'll do the first one. Oh, it's a bit crooked. Need coffee. And the second one. Make that a little higher. 2 E's, I think I wouldn't do much difference in the E's. Okay, and now we'll do a pangram, and this one's for you, Debbie, because you like interesting pangrams. I found this, and it's short, which is really good. Puffing wizards amaze quirky elves. Not doing any capitals yet. Oh, I have a problem here. I stuck this little G. I was a little crazy. Well, I guess I'll start here then. Okay, puffing. Nice P. I'm just going to do a lowercase. We'll do caps in a minute. Are you breathing? No. Please remember to breathe. Nice U. Okay. I always have to look. I always forget this one. It's a full serif. 2 F's again. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to make a shorter one. One-third, two-third, and a little taller. So that's interesting. Could you make the line go straight across? Sure you could.
When you do
But I don't like the look of that, so I do try to separate them. Yes,
when
question.
you do your F's, does the crossbar, do you try to stagger them or keep them the same?
I try to keep them the same, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I would like them to be separate.
No, it looks weird.
So the question was, would you lower one of them? No, but you could go straight across, but I personally just don't like the look of it. So if you love it, fine, but I like to see 2 crosses. That's just me. I, N, oh, get a G. I think that I'm not going to finish the G just right now. And I made that fairly big. because I don't know what's coming below. Please remind me to come back to it though, so I don't forget. So now wizards is next. Thank you. So we've got the nice W again. And an I. Oh, we get a Z. Yay. So shorter, a little bit longer, 2 verticals. Get a lovely A. R. D. Oh, and a nice S. Okay. There we go. Puffing wizards. Amaze. Nice M. I'm going to make it quite full. Get another Z. Yay. And a nice round E. Oh, a little quirky, but that's okay, I guess. Quirky elves. So we have a Q to do. So nice round beginning. Straight down. And get a full serif on the bottom and a half right to the right at the top and a U. Oh, made that P a little long, so I don't like that. But just make that a little shorter so it doesn't look bad. And an I, R, nice arch. Oh, we get the K, don't forget to kick. Full serifs. Y. I won't go crazy this time. And elves. Ah. Okay, E. L. Ah. So the V. If I were doing this by itself, I wouldn't have started way over like I did. There we go. Now, I'm going to go back to the G. So I think what I'm going to do, now that I can look at it, I'm going to do the hanger.
You just need to slide a bit, honey.
I will do that in a moment. Thank you. There we go. And I'm going to come out. It's probably a bit too high, a bit too low, but anyway, it does fit in. So at least we get the practice of the letters. I'm not quite ready to finish. Is that okay? Yeah. Are you dying over there? No. Okay, you're all right? Okay. So what I'd like to do right now, before we do the fill-in letters, is I'm going to just fly through the capitals. And I think they're pretty obvious, and we're just going to go straight through once of each, because they're pretty, ones that you kind of probably use mostly. And some of them are just larger, lowercase. So, are you okay?
Yep.
All right, take a deep breath. And let's go. Okay. So I'm going to go back here. Okay. There we go. All right, A. So we're doing, I'm going to do probably about 3/4. So a nice A, double serif, and we're going to lower the cross piece so it looks nice. I said we were only going to do one, but I noticed it. There we go. Kind of didn't do the V very well. Next is the B. It crosses over the top. First bulb and a bigger one at the bottom and crossing the vertical. The C is like what we did before, only bigger. And she puts in those angle things. I don't love them, but anyway. D. Going to skip a space, I think. No, I'm not. So D, we go over the vertical, nice and round. I'm going to do that one again. It should be bigger. Yeah, much fuller. I don't love these capitals, but they're good to know. Okay, so the E. Fairly wide, vertical, central cross piece, almost the same length. And the lower one with a vertical going up. F, similar to the E. And the G. So starting at 12 or 11 or 12 o'clock, nice and round. And you're coming up almost to the center and across. And then finish it off at the top. And a diagonal, which I don't love, but anyway. Oh, we've got the H. So I'm going to give myself some space. Nice and wide. Full serifs. And across. I, well, we all know that one. And the J, just taller. Nice dot, cross piece. K, just taller. Going up to the top. Make sure it kicks. Am I off?
Yeah.
Sorry, and I didn't do a very pretty one. I'll do it again. Didn't kick very well either. Okay, Carolyn, I'm going to move it up a little bit, and it's probably overdone. Let's just move on. L, half serif, straight down. Sort of a half serif at the edge, and then all the way across, and then a vertical. I like the M. It's almost overdone, but so we're going to be doing 2 upside down V's. It's a different way of doing it. So on the bottom, and I haven't got the V's exactly the same on both sides. So the first stroke and the fourth stroke get a full serif, and at the top, a half to the left and a half to the right. Let's do that again. So I'm going to try to keep them the same. So there's 1, Now let's see if I can do that. And 2. It's better. Not perfect. Full serifs, half serif. Yeah, it makes a nice statement, that one. The N, I'm going to do the letter first. It's fairly wide. So a full serif on the first stroke. At the top, a half to the left. On the third stroke, a full serif, and at the bottom, nothing. The O is just bigger. Now the P. And I don't like what I just did. I'm going to do it again. I'm coming just below. I think I went a little bit too much. And you could do 2 strokes if you want to control it a bit. The Q. Lovely round O. See how round you can get it. And a diagonal. That's kind of what we're used to. The R. Another one of my favorite letters because of the kicking. So we start with the L. Thank you. I forget to look. Okay, so now I'm going to come across, come down to the center, and then over and let it kick. You don't want a cramped R. You want a nice full stated R. The S is just larger. Again, a figure 8. Trying to keep the bottom part a bit bigger. And 2 of the diagonal serifs. T, you're used to. And across. 2 verticals. The U is just larger. Upside down L. And full serif, 2 full serifs on top. V is larger.
You're off the screen.
Thank you. And a W. And now the X. I'm going to do a little deviousness here. I've got X, Y, and Z. So, first vertical. Now here's the center. So I want the bottom part to be a bit bigger, and 4 full serifs. The Y, this Y is a little different. It's got a very wide V with 2 full serifs, and the stem is straight down. So that version. And the Z is just bigger again. Extend that and extend that. So those are the capitals. They make a statement. We don't use them that often, so that's why I don't belabor them. But now I'd like to, are you okay? Yeah. I'm almost done, but I still have a few bit more to do. So I'd like you to look, I know I'm blazing ahead here. I'd like you to look at page 4, I think it is, the fill-in. So basically these are the same letters, but I'll take that page out. But basically, for most cases, a rectangle has been added to the letters on one of the surfaces. With the round letters, it's kind of a roundness that's been added. Is Betty still on the screen? Is she still there? Betty, can you hear me? Can you unmute? If you're there. There she is. Betty, do you remember that you did this for us, probably at Alphabees?
You know, I don't remember a thing, and it's not because I'm too stupid, but you know, I'm the kind of person who goes ahead rather than back, and I can't tell you, but you're doing a fine job.
Well, thank you, Betty. I just noticed your name, and I hadn't really read what I'd written all those years ago, but they're kind of fun. So,
Well, it's been a pleasure to hear you doing it all, and I honestly don't know what I did, and it's okay. You can do whatever you like.
thank you, Betty. Well, it's nice that I wrote your name down all those years ago, some years ago. Just before we go on to that, though, let's just back up for a moment. Go to the top of your page. We need a title. And so our title should be Type or Bookhand. So I am going to do a capital, and I'm going to stay this way. So a capital T. And I'm using the two full spaces there. Ooh. There we go, and a P. Little bit of a space, do the word or. And it's bookhand, not bookend. Nice B. Left serif, smaller top, bigger bottom, and left serif. 2 O's. And I'm going to let these two snuggle together a little bit. They look a little funny, little eyes. Nice K, make sure it kicks beautifully. Book. Hand. Nice A. N. And a D. There. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, I'm going to go to the bottom of my paper now. I'll give you a moment to catch up. So we're not going to go through all of these fill-in letters because I think you can figure them out, but we'll do a few of them. And I have some colored pencil here, just for, on the exemplar, I think my name was done, and she's added lovely flourishes to it and really made them bounce quite a bit, and has used her pen to do patterns in them, which is kind of fun. And then on the, if I remember this correctly, it's a lot of years ago, I think this was done with a gold gel pen. And so that was the best that it would probably, it probably didn't have a color printer back then, probably all black and white. Okay, so I thought we would start with the A. So basically the A, I'm going to go back in a little bit. Okay, so your A is just like what we did before. But this time, on the right-hand side, I'm going to do an angled, I guess it's not a rectangle, it's a parallelogram, and a lowered cross piece. And on the very left, I'm going to do a little vertical, a little triangle. And that's a pretty color. And if I quickly color that in, or add it a little bit, it just kind of makes a little bit of a statement than the straight letters above. So that would be that one. Let's do the B. So we've got the B, round, and this time I'm adding a rectangle to the left. And it's just a little bit of play, which is kind of fun. The H is the one I wanted to do. Oh, sorry. I've got room here to do that. So the H. I have a little plan for this little spot here. That's why I'm on my little... Oh, it's probably not wide enough. I'm going to add a rectangle and making that one a little bit bigger. And on the right side, I'm going to do two triangular ones. It looks like I'm filling them in, but I really want to leave a spot to do so that the triangles are also colored in. If you do them small enough, then it'll just be black, and that's okay. That's okay. It looks good. Should be more space, but that's what I had there. Let's do the, what did I have to, oh, we got to do the M. The M. So I'm going to start with the first upside down V, try to get it symmetrical. A little triangle. Now, before we finish the M, I'm going to put in that parallelogram. And be generous. Make it maybe a bit wider. Now, here's the thing. When you plan your third stroke of the M, you're going from this point of that rectangle. So the left side bottom. So I'm going up this way. I'm going to do it in the air first. And then, so that first lower part's hidden. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. And then finish it. And do another rectangle. It's probably a bit wide, but that's okay. If I was doing a little piece, I would be a bit more careful. Oh, I could put a bit of color in that triangle. Yeah, it's a bit wide, but that's okay. All right, and the N, we need to do the N. I'm not doing all the letters, just some of them. I'm making the N fairly wide. Now, on the first stroke, you need a little triangle serif. And on the third stroke at the top. And then to complete it, you're going on the diagonal. And you're adding most of a rectangle parallelogram. And let's play for a minute. I'm going to make the N again, but this time, just because I feel like it, I'm going to really spread it out and angle it, do a curve, and then finish it off. So it's much wider. I'm going to make the triangles a bit bigger. And then that rectangle thing don't know what you call it this time, will look like that. So it's a little strange, a little bit more playful, but still okay. We need to do a curve, so we'll do the O. We're going to do 2 O's. First one is going to be round, very round. Well, it's probably a bit ovally. Now I'm going to extend that, and that's not kind of how I did it on the exemplar all those years ago, but I think I like this look a bit better. And I don't know that I actually like this letter being so round, even though that's probably what the alphabet calls for. So I'm going to do one that is ovally, more ovally, because I think it probably looks better when you're extending it. And then when you add in that piece, I think I like it better. Okay, and we have to do the S. Love the S. So there's those 2 funny looking O's. So the S is basically that.
Just gotta move up a bit.
Would you like to see it? Yeah, there we go. Oh, sorry. I'm just fighting with the, what have I done? Yeah. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to do a second one of those strokes. Then you come across, so this is where it would end, if you balanced it up. And then the bottom part would end there. It's a funny looking letter, and it's not perfectly done, but, and you could, I think I'll color it. Let's go pink. It's just neat.
Up, please.
There you go. And there we go. So that's the S. I think that was all I planned to do at this point. So we've got 2 more things to do, well, 3 more things to do. What I'd like you to do right now is to use one of those letters and do a name or a word. I'm going to do Sam. So I'm just going to do the first letter with the fill-in, and then I'm going to do the foundational with it. And it's still, you can still see it, just so you can get that. Because that's how I like to use them. I like to use them with something. And I think this time I'll just do.
I'm just going to interrupt a little bit. Debbie pointed out before you started, Carolyn, that this alphabet would be a really good one to use on the children's work.
Oh, it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah.
A very good one.
The A's will be different than what they'd be used to, but I think it's fairly legible.
They could figure that out.
I think so,
They
yeah.
use that A in books quite a bit.
Yeah, they do.
Or you could turn it into a round A with a stick.
Okay, I was going to have you do a little piece, but let's do the word art. And I want to do fill-in letters. We're almost done, I promise. Um, we're going to use the fill-in letters, but I want to do them vertically. So I have A, R, and T. And I'll do that. So I'm going to do the A. And I'm going to make the rectangles larger than I have been doing. Try to keep it parallel. Lower that a little. And below that, I'm going to do the R. Make sure it kicks beautifully. It's going to need a little triangle and a rectangle. And a T. The T will have the rectangle in the center and two little triangles on either side. And I love the peacock blue. And maybe yellow. And now I need to think of 3 adjectives. Let's end with pink. Now let's end with purple. Oh, it's blue, sorry. I grabbed the wrong one. This was, these are pencil crayons. They're Blackwing, you know, the pencils, those special pencils. And cost way too much money, but they're like the Prismacolor. They're very waxy, they're beautiful. Okay, so a positive adjective for A. Adorable. Adorable. Amazing.
Angry.
No, it has to be positive.
Oh, it has to be positive.
Yes. Okay, choose one. Choose a positive, and we're going to do it in the type. So I'm going to do adorable. Yes. Nice D. If you want to do some fancy place cards for your next dinner, you could do that. Adore. Now, notice I've got these two, let me do that, zooming in. I've got all that white space in there. So why can't I take that nose and pull it over a bit to fill up some of that space? And a nice round B. I'm making the verticals quite tall this time, which I don't usually do, which is all right. Okay, I need an adjective for a positive adjective, Judy, for R. Resourceful.
Radiant.
Oh, I like that. Something else? Think of one. I'm going to do radiant. Charlotte's Web. Oh, that's not a very nice A, but anyway, kind of works.
You're off the page.
Again. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. A. Let's make a better A this time. There we go. And an N. And a T. And an adjective for T. Terrific. Anything else?
Tantalizing.
Tantalizing. Oh, that's a long one. But notice that you've got a T and then you've got space. So you can snuggle that in there very nicely. and an A. That's a nicer A than above, but that's okay. Tan.
How do you spell that? I don't know.
Yeah, how do you spell it? Is it I or A?
T-A-N-T-A.
Tanta. Okay. L. Yeah, we don't get to do Zs too often, so that's nice. Am I still on? Yes?
Yeah, T-A-N-T-A-L-I, zing.
And I made a mistake. What'll I do?
Oh, it's turned into a Z.
I know.
You can do it.
A very ugly Z. Oh, well.
Drag.
That one looks like it's got a real arthritic problem. Okay, there's nothing below that G. Have at it. Do your best, take a good yoga breath, and go for it. Next month, I've been asked to do a second program, and we're going to be doing something based on the type, but we're going to go a little crazy and be decorative. And we're also going to deal with weighting some of the letters, which really work for that alphabet. And
So there's homework from the program?
well, I do have homework, but I didn't write it down. And here's the homework. You could do, where did I write it? Oh, I didn't write it. So, okay. So that, and so for next time, the same tools that you have. When you're weighting, I tend to like using the Uniball, but it's a very heavy one. It's probably like on the micron pens, it's probably an 8 or something. So if you have a micron pen, like a 005 or a 01, that would be handy for doing the weighting. You can do a weighting with anything, but anyway, so there's that. Homework, okay. So you could do, and I have one more thing to show you, and then I promise to stop. Maybe. Anyway. So you could do a word and do what we just did. I made this rather fanciful by adding all the little stuff. If you want it to be a bit more rigid, this was the beginning of one of my favorite quotes by Thoreau, "Go boldly in the direction," forget what the rest of it is, but anyway, go boldly, I have it written down. No, go boldly in the direction of your dreams, live the life you imagine. And I did it this way. So.
I thought you were going to do the Star Trek one, go boldly where no one has gone before.
There is that. Well, it's a good one for January to go boldly because you're starting a new year. It's a blank slate. It's like each day is a blank slate, but anyway, so that's one thing. This is one of my favorite things. Let's zoom in again. And so this is a word string. So I chose the word wonder because I like it. It ends with an R, so the next word starts with the R. I did radiant, and then it ended with a T, so I started with a T. And so that's how you build it. And just be careful what letters you choose, because there are words that and it has to be positive, Judy. And so it does have to be positive, but it's just kind of a fun thing to do. And you can see at the very end, I had room so you could go crazy on the G. I went a little too crazy over here, but anyway. And just anything you like, just have fun with it. So just before we leave, I want to show you one more thing. I said at the beginning that this could be used formally. And so let me just unfocus here. So these are, I did these years ago. And these were from the first page of some albums I did for friends that were retiring. And so I've done fancier at the top and then just use the type. So, and I just love this rubber stamp, and I probably did it in gold. put the gold on it and then heated it up. And this is one of my favorite quotes for teachers, except it should have started here. I don't know why I didn't do that. But basically, it's those letters, but done very slowly, very small, with a bit of a curve, a different color. And these were all kind of the same, though they all retired that same year. But just a different color there. And this one, we met my first year teaching. We've been friends for a century, or half a century almost. And
If I could just ask you, Carolyn, to turn off your light table?
oh, I thought it would
Thank
help.
you.
It doesn't?
No, no, it does
Okay.
not. Thank you.
All right. And then one more. And this one using different letters there, which I don't think I like. But so you can use them in a formal aspect if you don't want to do anything with broad edge. But you wouldn't do anything, you wouldn't add stars or dots or anything like that. You would keep it very, very rigid and formal, but it goes with whatever else you're doing. I don't know why I didn't do italic, but I didn't, and it's okay. So I just wanted to show you that of a way of using it in a formal setting. I do like that. That was kind of fanciful and kind of fun. Yeah, she was our counselor at a couple of schools, and she was fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Okay, so just before we finish, I will stop, I promise. I hope that you've ended up with a decent looking page. It may not be perfect. You've noticed I've made all sorts of mistakes. There's one, there's my Z. But it's just kind of a nice little page, and you'll look at it and think, oh yeah, I can do that. So, thank you.
That was lovely, and I look forward to next month too.
Thank you, and we'll just reconvene at 11:15.
Go have coffee.